Here are three sneaky offenses that Rotowire thinks you should invest in during your 2025 fantasy football draft. Let's start out with the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears, the ADP of all the passing game components has gotten cheaper over the summer. Caleb Williams is going as the quarterback 12 in average drafts, and I get it. Last year was not fun to watch. Under siege all day long, running for his life, inefficient as a passer. Everything has changed. You need to buy into this. Ben Johnson did wonders with Jared Goff. The offensive line that was a mess last year potentially is a strength now after the entire interior line was addressed. Caleb Williams has a lot of talent. He ran for 489 yards last year. So not only does he have ability as a passer, but he has that rushing ability we love in our fantasy football quarterbacks. Now, the running back price of the Bears is very, very, very good as well. DeAndre Swift, you can get him outside the top 24 running backs. Now, DeAndre Swift may not be a great running back, but volume is king in fantasy football. Last year, DeAndre Swift, over 1,200 scrimmage yards, 42 catches, and this was in an offense that was largely dysfunctional. He will get volume. DeAndre Swift, at the cost he's going at, will get you a high weekly scoring floor. He may not have massive upside, but there's nothing wrong outside of running back 24 getting a player that can score points for you every single week. Next, DJ Moore. DJ Moore, last year, mess of a season. He was the wide receiver 14 in PPR league. Everything went wrong. In most of DJ Moore's career, he's usually over 1,100 yards. Last year was the exception. Again, that offense was a mess. DJ Moore has played with bad quarterbacks his entire career. This potentially is by far the healthiest situation he's ever been in. DJ Moore, you could get him right around wide receiver 20, and yet, like I said, wide receiver 14 last year, wide receiver 6 2 years ago. Buy in. Rome Odunze is also very cheap. He's gone down to about the wide receiver 35 in average drafts. And look, last year as a rookie, we wanted to see a lot, but it was never going to happen. Last year, Shane Waldron started the season running the offense, and he got the ball to Keenan Allen way too much. Rome Odunze was the third wheel, and it never worked out. 734 yards, 3 touchdowns. But again, he was getting downfield passes from Caleb Williams, who was always under pressure. It was not a good role. But Odunze got a couple 100-yard games to show us that the talent is there. He's the clear number 2 now. As I said, much healthier offense. Rome Odunze is a very solid investment. If you're looking at tight end, Colston Loveland, his value is getting more affordable. He's down to around the tight end 15 in drafts. Well, Colston Loveland is supposed to be the primary tight end, as we knew. The 10th pick in the draft, they were going to do that, and he's expected to be weaponized per Marquee Sport Network Scott Bear. I agree with that as well. I've seen that all along. Now, Colston Loveland may have some peaks and valleys, but again, as a second tight end, he has real upside, and if he gets hot and rolling, they may just keep going with him. The next offense that you could invest in cheaply in your fantasy football draft, hold your nose, the New York Jets. Justin Fields, going around quarterback 11 in drafts. Rushing quarterbacks are always relevant in fantasy football. If you have a mobile quarterback, you likely have a quarterback 1. Don't forget, Justin Fields in 2022 ran for 1,143 yards and 8 touchdowns in 15 games. And then in 2023, he was injured. He missed 4 games. He was still on an 860-yard pace. Justin Fields is not a great quarterback. He may not be a good quarterback, but he is a great fantasy quarterback when he is allowed to run. Last year in Pittsburgh, it was all safe runs. They just basically put the guardrails on him. The New York Jets seem to have no intention of doing that. They seem to take any chance they can to produce some offense. This is an opportunity that Justin Fields will be a steal in drafts. Don't be surprised with his rushing ability that he ends up as a top 5 quarterback. It may be ugly if you're watching the games, but if you're watching the box scores, it's all you care about in fantasy football. Breece Hall is next. And Breece Hall, look, I was confused on Breece Hall all offseason. He's going as the running back 13. He was terrible in broken tackle rate last year, 38th percentile. He was terrible in yards after contact, For him, 49th percentile. And I could not understand why a player who was outstanding his first 2 years, despite an ACL injury, why he had such a bad year. And it wasn't making sense. So largely, what happened with Brees Hall? Then I found there was an interview that Brees Hall had done, and I watched the interview. Brees Hall said he was playing the entire year through a sprained MCL in his knee. That makes sense. If Brees Hall is healthy, and the team is talking committee, but if Brees Hall is healthy, the coaching staff will have no choice but to ride Brees Hall. And that is going to help your fantasy team because he is a superstar who was going as a top 2 running back in most drafts last year. He is that level of player. Expect to return to health and dominance. Now you can get wide receiver Garrett Wilson as well, and you can get him about wide receiver 15. And what I like about Garrett Wilson is there is no great second option in the passing game. Josh Reynolds at receiver, Allen Lazard. These players are not commanding big targets at wide receiver. Garrett Wilson has between 147 and 168 targets in each season of his career, always over 1,000 yards. He hasn't had the big season. The floor's been great. But Justin Fields, and I said he may not be a very good quarterback, but don't forget, Justin Fields worked with DJ Moore 2 years ago. And in that season, DJ Moore had 1,364 yards and 8 touchdowns on 136 targets. DJ Moore did it. Garrett Wilson has the same Justin Fields, and I expect the same level of production here. Garrett Wilson should surpass that ADP. And then finally, if you want to go really, really cheap late in the draft, you need a second tight end with a chance to do a lot of damage, you might want to look at Mason Taylor. He's going as a tight end 25. But remember, second round draft pick, pure pass catcher. The team has already said that Jets Mason Taylor is going to be out there and he's going to be a starting player. And remember, back to Justin Fields. In that same year when DJ Moore did great, well, guess what? Tight end Cole Kmet had a career year, over 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mason Taylor could be the second option in the offense. That's your cheap offense. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit the like and subscribe. It also helps us keep the fantasy advice coming for you. And if you want even more Rotowire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You head to rotowire.com, choose your subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, one last team here. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Again, hold your nose. But this is a team that's, again, very cheap and affordable, but you can make some noise here. Look, Joe Flacco's 4 years old. He is not a guarantee to be the starting quarterback. But as of June 25th, ESPN's Cameron Wolf reports Flacco's the favorite to land the starting job. I have felt that way all along. Kenny Pickett can't run a team. Dylan Gabriel was a project at best. Shedeur Sanders, please. It's going to be a while before he's relevant. Joe Flacco is going outside the top 32 quarterbacks, around quarterback 34. So if you're in a deeper league or a best ball league, you could take a late flyer on him. Don't forget this. Joe Flacco in the last 3 years between stops in New York, the same Cleveland Browns, and the Indianapolis Colts, we have seen 18 games played. Again, these three seasons with bad teams. 30 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. I don't care about the interceptions. They fuel the passing game. But 30 touchdowns in 18 games. That's 1.67 touchdowns per game. Joe Flacco has 1,700 yards in last year in 7 starts. So the yardage has been good. The touchdowns have been good. We don't care that he's not playing great as a quarterback. But again, he could be a player that's posting points. And then Quinshon Judkins, the running back. You get him around running back 23, a 220-pound back drafted in the second round. The Browns are expected to go back to using a fullback, extra tight ends, back to old school Kevin Stefanski offense. Quinshon Judkins is built for this. He has a 3-down profile. I know Dylan Sampson's there, but I think it'll only be a little bit of work taken away. Judkins could really outperform that ADP. Jerry Jeudy going as wide receiver 33. Did we forget that last year, in the second half of the season, the targets were 10 per game? From week 8 on, Jerry Jeudy averaged 96 yards. He may drop passes, but he is going to be heavily involved. He is going to be a PPR monster. And while you're at it, Cedric Tillman around wide receiver 60. Cedric Tillman took on the starting job in week 7 last year, had an average of 7 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown before suffering a season-ending concussion. Tillman is a clear number 2 receiver. He is going to get a lot of targets. He's very good downfield. He can work intermediate. He's going to be a factor. Finally, David Njoku. If Flacco gets that starting job, I want you to remember the last 5 games that Njoku played with Flacco in 2023. This is what Njoku averaged. 7 catches, 93 yards, 0.8 of a touchdown, and 10 targets. So if it's going to be Flacco, David Njoku is going to be a steal for you.